Yo, what's up everybody? This is Junior Chicken here, looking into an underrated part of the Bionicle franchise, the Promo CDs. For many kids growing up, the Promo CDs acted as a gateway into the Bionicle universe. Much like the comics within the instruction manuals and the additional advertising on the canisters, these all played into LEGO's grand scheme, which was to get their fans onto Bionicle.com to discover the new world that they had created. Of course, some Promo CDs provide more entertainment than others, and that's why I will be ranking them in a tier list. I will be judging them based on how much content and entertainment they provide, as well as how well they immerse the user into the Bionicle universe. I will also be judging them based on how well they execute on modern hardware and software. Because as you will see, some Promo CDs will cause problems on your current OS. I recommend that you run compatibility mode for a majority of these CDs and have QuickTime and DirectX installed beforehand. One extra rule to touch upon: if a wave has specific CDs for a set, say Bohrok-Kal, I will be judging on the content of those CDs as a whole and how much they incentivize the user to buy more sets to finish their CD collection. Lastly, I would like to give a huge shout out to the Biomedia project for preserving these CDs, otherwise this video would not be possible.
Now, let's look at the tiers. Bottom of the barrel means there really isn't much the CD has to offer. Weak means the CD is okay but lacking. Solid means the CD does a pretty good job at entertaining. Exceeds expectations means the CD provides something extra. And more than worth it means the CD goes above and beyond for the average user. Starting in chronological order, the first Promo CD is the Toa Mata CD. Right away we are given a stone wall with all 6 Great Kanohi carved onto it. At the bottom is an interface with a 3-character code. The narrator tells you to enter the secret code inside the mask that came with the Toa you purchased. The code is found in small print on the inside of the mask. It is very difficult to see and will require direct light for the best visibility. Entering the code will reveal the respective Toa's Kanohi and play their animated short. The mask then remains clickable moving forward. These codes can also be found on the Noble Kanohi despite not having a purpose. Funny enough, these codes can be found on Kanohi made post 2001. Including the Metru Nui Matoran masks. On top of that, the codes stay the same across all prints of a specific Kanohi. For example, this Miru is a white Kanohi meant for Kopaka, and this Hau isn't even meant for a Toa. It's from Jalur's Mektoran set. However, entering the codes on these masks will reveal Liwa and Tahu respectively. Now, if only I could get an Akaku to complete the collection. Alright, enough with the trivia. Any revealed Kanohi, when unlocked or clicked, will play the Toa's special animation short, which is then followed by the Kini Nui animation, before leaving you at the main interface. From here, you can rotate the shrine and view each Toa and get a brief introduction. The pillars with the glyphs on them allow you to navigate the application. A quick tip, the walking Tahu glyph always means go back, and the question mark means help. The face and X lead you to the Tools and Kanohi section. Tools on the left, Kanohi on the right. Clicking the tool or Kanohi will give you a brief description. Nonetheless, this section is an appetizer. The main course can be found by clicking the statue head glyph on the right. This will take you to the lore section. Upon your first visit here, you will be told the classic Bionicle origin story us fans have heard many times. How Matanui brought the Matoran to the island paradise, and how his envious brother Makuta cursed him into comatose. The story can be seen again via the Vitruvian symbol in the middle. Clicking the Mata Nui symbol on the left will take you to an engraved map of the titular island. Each Makoki stone fragment represents a village and its respective Toa that you can learn some nice details about when clicking on the stone. This is actually pretty clever since Makoki stones aren't the most recognizable item in Bionicle. I could see some early fans wanting to know what these stones meant just from this part. Unfortunately, the details can be stereotypical and inaccurate in some cases, but it's a decent basis for sure. Going back to the lore section and clicking on the Makuta symbol on the right provides you details on the myths of Makuta. I say myths because the details don't age very well. How about we assemble the Makoki stones, even though they're laid out pretty easily. Not much of a puzzle if you ask me. Oh look, it's the Toa Kaita! The narrator also describes the concept beautifully. Once the Toa have learned to master their element and work together, they can fuse into two mega siblings that can stand up to any threat. Well, looks like we've covered the lore section, and with that, the full CD. Actually, not quite. If you click on the third symbol on the landing screen, you can check out which products LEGO was promoting at the time. The Technic section shows off the other Technic products such as Star Wars and Create and Race. The Bionicle section shows all the Toa canisters, the Kanohi packs, the Rahkshi sets, and the unreleased Bionicle game trailer. And the Others section shows the Mictorn sets, BionicleMusic.com, and the Upper Deck trading cards. For the first CD, that's a pretty good start. A well-made introduction to the world that encourages the user to buy more Toa sets and continue learning about Bionicle. Let's set that as the benchmark with a solid rank.
Next up is the Nestlé Cereals promo CD. Remember when cereal companies used to distribute computer games in their cereals? I sure did, and my family got a whole bunch of them. Unfortunately, they do not run well on modern PCs.
Okay, so we're starting with the Vakama animation. Now we're given another origin tale, but this time more emphasis is put on the Toa. Oh, and the Turaga are getting some attention too. Next, we can select a Turaga to learn about. Once you click on a Turaga, you get a detailed bio and information about their noble Kanohi, badge of office staff, and the village they reside in. Oh, and what's this? Click on the mask to help the Toa. Looky here, it's a platforming game. Granted, the jumping is heavy and the platforms don't scroll consistently with each other, but beating it does reward you with the Toa's animation, so that's cool. Of course, this can be done with all 6 Turaga, but just a heads up, they do misgender no comma, unfortunately. Thankfully, you only need to beat 1 Toa's quest to reach the main section. Just click on the How glyph in the bottom left corner to reach Kini Nui. From here, it's the same song and dance as before. The lore section and the tools section are the same. The only difference here is that clicking on the Toa also plays their animation, which so far has been the most convenient way of viewing them. You don't even have to complete their quest to view the animation. What happens if you complete all the quests, though? Well, you get to unlock the full version of the platforming game. This time it's more of an arcade gameplay style, where you survive as long as you can and try to get a high score. Don't fall off, collect the colored masks to increase your score, and avoid the infected masks. However, you can pick any Toa you want since the scoreboard isn't Toa specific. Still, I don't really care for this game. Along with the control and level design issues, you can increase your score by dying and respawning at the beginning of the level. The only Toa I've had some decent runs with is Tahu and Pohatu. Anyways, what does the third symbol have to promote this time around? For technically it's basically the same. For Bionicle, we've got some beta images of the Rahkshi, and the Turaga sets are being promoted instead of the Toa. How about this Barcode Brothers section? We've got Bionicle Music and the Barcode Brothers site, which appears to be dead. They seem to be going steady still though. Overall, this I'd say was a great improvement. surprising that the Serial CD outdid the Product CD. Aside from the same main content, we get more information about characters and the world, easier accessibility to the main content, and while the platform game is meh, it still adds some entertainment value. I'll rate this as an exceeded expectations.
PowerPack CD better measure up. It came with Hafu, a poster of Mata Nui, and a silver Rua. So this better be good.
Right away, I'm seeing a modal window. Just let me enable the highest quality options since I have a gaming PC and... Okay, we're in Pokoro. Firstly, there's minimal hover feedback. The cursor changes, but the items don't show that they are clickable. The previous two examples used a white shadow or lighter shading for action pieces. What does the island engraving do? Okay, another retelling of the classic tale. I'm guessing clicking Pohatu gives us more information on him. Yep, now I'm getting hover feedback. However, the icons on the side that highlight do nothing. Only clicking Pohatu's face, legs, or torso brings up information. Also, despite only showing Pohatu's bio, the icons allow me to see animations for all of the Toa. Why give me all the animations, but not the background details? Anua has the same issues with his bio. The icons on the left do nothing, but clicking his staff, body, and face shows the information. No other Turaga can be found either. Hafu's section is much less intuitive. Clicking on Hafu or the faded Anua behind him describes Matoran society, and clicking the disc actually gives us a note on Hafu. At least clicking the Kanohi carving on the right side lets you learn about the Great Kanohi, even though the colored dots don't show you what the Kanohi looks like for the matching Toa. The giant D-pad takes you to a small demo trailer for Tales of the Tohunga, the first Bionicle game made for the GBA. Finally, let's address this pile of gold Kanohi. Apparently, there's a treasure hunt for gold Kanohi that you can enter by completing a quiz. Because hey, now that you paid for a Rua, you might as well try to get the Aki. At least the quiz has questions based off stuff you've learned from the CD, despite only needing Hafu's section and the classic Legend movie. And your reward for 100% is a link to an expired webpage. Unfortunately, it looks like most of the budget for the Power Pack went into the Silver Mask. This CD doesn't really encourage much exploration by sticking to Pokoro, and the interface is fairly bland in terms of aesthetic and options. I'm gonna have to put this at the bottom of the barrel.
While there is one more 2001 promo CD that I need to rank, I unfortunately cannot run it on my computer. I'm not sure if this is the result of a Windows update that occurred after I downloaded the CD, but now whenever I try to run the executable, it just gives me a black screen. It should be showing me the language selection screen. The child applications are also being blocked by Windows Defender, so that might be a reason why. Sadly, as a result, I cannot rank this CD, which is a shame because it had some pretty interesting content. Stupid Windows reverse compatibility issues. Moving on to 2002, we have two promo CDs, one for the Bohrok and one for the Toa Nuva. However, these two CDs are functionally identical, so I will be rating them both at the same time. Just a heads up, these two CDs I found are very finicky when it comes to what QuickTime version you have installed. It's meant to run on version 5, but I found that if you have the latest version of QuickTime, the executable will not run at all. There's a specific butter zone that needs to be met for the CD to execute properly, but I say it is well worth it.
Right away we get a kick-ass intro with the Bionicle symbol, along with brief clips that retell the events up to 2002. Now we have 3 choices: the island with the island symbol, games with the Onua symbol, and extras with the 3 circles. Let's check out the island section first. Immediately, we are given a video synopsis of the 2001 storyline, which really helps those who missed out. Then we get a second video describing the danger of the Bohrok and how the Krana play a key role. Once those videos are done, or skipped, you get to see the island of Mata Nui in full. Dots indicate the different villages, while the caret in the middle marks Kini Nui. What is nice is that every clickable has a narration behind it. The HUD elements indicate what they do to the user, and the island landmarks each have a nice description when hovered over. The only exception is the Bohrok insignia in the bottom left corner, which replays the Bohrok intro video. Clicking on the map item will bring up a menu on the right, which contains characters related to the region. This includes Toa, Turaga, Matoran, Bohrok, Bohrok Va, and even Rahkshi. Each Toa section gives us a look at the Toa and what masks they can wear. Hovering over the Toa image will give you a quick bio. Hovering over a mask will give you the name and power of the mask. The 2 leftmost masks are read as Rua and Aki, but that doesn't make much sense considering each Toa can only be part of one Kaita. It should really say the gold one is the golden mask of all great powers, and the silver one is a protodermis mask yet to be activated. There is also a counter above each Kanohi, which can be used to indicate how many of the particular Kanohi you have. We'll cover that later. In the bottom left corner, there is a ladder which plays the Toa's respective animation, and a round rectangle which shortcuts to the Toa's wallpaper. Next up is the Turaga and Matoran section, which shows the villager duo. Just like the Toa, hovering over each of them reads out their bio. And they have the masks below which they can wear. Even the Matoran have their masks read out despite not being usable. The Rahkshi section only reads out the bio. The Bohrok and Bohrok Va sections have Krana below their image instead of Kanohi for obvious reasons. The Bohrok sections also have links to their wallpaper and animations. Unlike the Toa animations, which show their unique powers and personalities, the Bohrok animations are generic, showing how they unfold and lunge with their necks before tackling the camera. Literally the only difference for each Bohrok is the camera panning. So far though, there is already plenty of information to learn from the island section alone, covering every set currently released. It gets even better when you go to the collection section. Here you can view the counters for every single Kanohi and Krana. Editing the counters is a little less intuitive here as you need to select the mask, then use the arrows on the right, but it's still a fun way of keeping track of your real life collection. Here's what mine looks like for those who are curious. Now, if only they included Kanohi Nuva on the Toa Nuva disc. That's all for the island section. Let's move on to the games section. Here we have 3 games, Battle for Mata Nui, and 2 other games that require Flash to be installed. And the program crashes when I try to play Battle for Mata Nui. Great. Screw it, let's go to the extras section. We've got an ad for Spy Botics in the bottom left corner, and 3 symbols in the middle. The rounded rectangle obviously means wallpaper. The ball and socket joint allows you to view assembly instructions for the Bohrok, even though they all build exactly the same. And the 6 triangles allows you to download the desktop toys. Both Toa Great Masks and Bohrok are available to download on your desktop, giving you a fun companion to play with, either showing you what each Kanohi power can do, or letting loose a Bohrok that likes to cause trouble. I'm really liking this CD. It has so much content. You can find knowledge regarding the story, locations, and characters, along with extra tidbits here and there. And even though I couldn't get the games running, they still could provide entertainment for those with Flash installed. This is going to be a hard one to top, so I'll put the Bohrok CD in the more than worth it tier. Before I put the Toa Nuva CD alongside it, let me address the one difference that it has from the Bohrok CD. Regularly, the ladder on the Toa section will show the animation. However, the Toa Nuva CD instead gives you a synopsis of how the Bohrok swarm arc is resolved, as well as the Toa's transformation. This is followed by the bio of the resulting Toa Nuva. Unfortunately, the narration for the ladder button was not updated for this CD, so you might not discover this if you didn't want to watch the Toa animations for the dozenth time. Anyways, let's put this CD where it deserves to go. More than worth it.
Alright, time to move on to 2003. Starting with the first instance where each set has a unique CD, the Bohrok-Kal.
I must admit, this is probably the best intro movie we've seen so far. A collage of clips from the Toa Nuva and Bohrok-Kal, backed up by a dope music track. The narrator sounds more sinister and grittier than the previous one. As you can see, each Bohrok-Kal app allows you to learn more about the respective Bohrok-Kal and its rivaling Toa Nuva. Let's check out the Toa first. The intro is pretty much the same for each Toa, but clicking the Toa will give you a more unique bio of them. The icons on the left let you see additional details. The tool icon does what you expect, describing how powerful the Toa's tools are and how they have a secondary function. The mask icon lets you learn about the powers of each Toa Nuva. The arrows icon gives you a 3D look of the Toa Nuva. And the elemental Nuva symbol tells you about the elemental powers the Toa has and how they have been stolen by the Bohrok-Kal. Now we can see what the Bohrok-Kal section has in store. Functionally, it is pretty much the same. You get a generic intro and more details by clicking on the Bohrok-Kal. On the left, there is a shields icon that describes the power shields wielded by the specific Bohrok-Kal, a Chrono icon that allows you to learn about the Chrono-Kal, and arrows giving you a 3D view. Of course, this CD has wallpaper options for your desktop background, and a third section which has videos about the first Bionicle console game, Bionicle.com, and the Mask of Light movie. Now, you've probably been noticing that I've been dodging the film icons. This is because if you try to play a video on these CDs, the app will freeze completely. I don't understand why, especially when the intro video plays perfectly fine at the start. And if you only have one monitor connected, Mata Nui help you, as it is extremely difficult to force quit the application. One thing I recommend is having the task manager's always on top option enabled. However, if you are not prepared for this, here is some step-by-step instructions. Step 1. Press Ctrl plus window key plus enter to turn on narrator.
Narrator heading level 1.
Step 2. Press Ctrl Alt Delete to open the task manager. Step 3. Press the Windows key to reveal the taskbar. Step 4. Click on the task manager icon to give it the narrator app's focus. Step 5. Press tab until you hear
List of items, data grid.
Step 6. Press the up and down keys until you hear
Process, Bionicle, 32-bit.
Step 7. Press tab until you hear
And task, button.
Step 8. Press the spacebar and the application should cancel, returning you to the desktop. Thankfully, we can look up the video contents on Biomedia Project. To be honest, while the Toa Nuva videos are cool, they don't have the same effort put into them as their predecessors. Only Kopaka and Tahu have a satisfactory length, which shows off how badass they are. The other Toa only have about 10 seconds that show them using their tools. The Bohrok-Kal animations are shorter and weaker, with only 2 of them showing off their elemental powers. The video game trailer is okay, so is the Bionicle.com trailer, and the Mask of Light teaser did have me interested in the movie when I first saw it. Nonetheless, this 6-pack of CDs doesn't quite measure up. While the information on the Toa Nuva and Bohrok-Kal is more than sufficient and wallpaper options are cool, the animations feel like a step down and they can't even be watched through the application anymore. As a result, this CD will have to go into the weak tier. Hopefully the Rahkshi CDs will be better. Oh sweet! A collage of Rahkshi clips with some badass music. Now the narrator is explaining the current situation in the story. Otherwise, the interface is basically the same, aside from the icons being on the left side of the main screen. The main problem here is that Toa Nuva is the Toa on every CD, which greatly hinders the incentive to getting all CDs. It also doesn't help that his section contains less content than the Toa Nuva sections. While he has a pretty solid bio, which even contains some foreshadowing, and his Kanohi description is the most in-depth thus far, his tool description is brief and kinda redundant. The Rahkshi sections have some slight differences. The narrator actually goes straight into the bio rather than using a generic intro, although the use of male pronouns for the Rahkshi may be offensive to some people. The staffs are given much more detail than Toa Nuva's tool, but the Krada, while given a fleshed out explanation of their origins and abilities, have no information on taxonomy. With the Kanohi and Krana before, you got to learn about the different variants, but not for the Krada, and unfortunately the same problems with playing videos can be found here. Since they are part of the CD, I still must grade the animations. While the Rahkshi all have decent length animations that show off how imposing and dangerous they are, Toa Nuva's isn't as impressive. It just makes him look vulnerable. There's literally a clip of him in a commercial dodging a boulder and then swatting another rock with his staff. Why couldn't they have included that? For the trailers section, the only trailer that's different is the updated Bionicle 2003 game trailer. Sadly, the Rahkshi CDs felt like a step down from the Bohrok-Kal. Each CD gives you less since Toa Nuva is repeated on each one, and the details on the Kanohi and Krada have no options to them. And the animations will once again crash the app. I guess I'll have to put these at bottom of the barrel.
Before we wrap up 2003, let's look at the Mask of Light DVD. This is a bit of a stretch, but I still count it since the movie itself can be an introduction to the Bionicle universe.
Already, the main menu is much more verbose, using words instead of symbols, making it more intuitive. The story gives you a pretty good synopsis of the movie. Characters has a drop-down menu including each of the Toa, the protagonists, Jalur and Takua, and the antagonists, Rahkshi and Makuta. Each character has a large image along with a brief description and a small sideshow with snapshots of them from the movie. Just be careful as Jalur and Takua and Makuta accidentally show spoilers for the movie. DVD Extras just has a list of features and content the DVD contains, self-explanatory. Trailer is also self-explanatory. The screensaver you can download from the app basically cycles through each of the character screens. Finally, let's see what games you can play. Tahu's Lava Surfer is an on-rails game where you collect fire symbols and avoid magma rocks. The goal is to collect all 25 symbols in the least amount of time. You can get a better time by going faster, but collecting symbols and dodging rocks becomes harder. Basic inertia laws. Golly's Rapid Descent is where you try to land Golly on the yellow landing strip. You can move her sideways and upwards, but you have a limited amount of energy to do so. The furthest I can reach is level 5. Liwa's Force Flyer is an endless on-the-rails game where you dodge cloud formations with 4 lives. Kopaka's Ice Trail is a tracing game where you try to follow the path. Stray away too much and it's a cold bath for you. Thankfully you have 5 lives. Pohatu's Matching Pairs is basically memory match with Bionicle characters. And Onua's Memory Challenge is basically Simon Says with Toa Nuva symbols. You can also play by ear since the symbols have a distinct sound. The DVD doesn't do much to really steer the user into checking Bionicle.com. And while the games can be somewhat enjoyable, the content is fairly lacking compared to the previous CDs. Guess this one will have to go to the bottom of the barrel.
Can 2004 do any better? At least they changed the base engine to run on Shockwave this time, so these apps should be more stable.
Right away we are greeted with an intro movie that shows us Metru Nui and a short bit of the corresponding Toa in action. Then we are given a preamble of the Metru Nui arc and the objective of finding the respective Matoran who knows of the Great Disc. Now these CD applications are much more like a game as opposed to a set of interactive menus. The Toa here are portrayed like detectives, starting with the Matoran's home and looking for clues based on the evidence they run into. Clicking certain items can also let you in on information that helps with world building. Along the way, you'll visit places in the respective metru and learn about the district's culture, the daily routines and jobs, and the role the district plays in the city. You'll also run into some familiar faces if you played the Mata Nui online games. Kapura works at a furnace factory, Amaya is a respected teacher, Naparu is a supervisor. Knew he had that kind of spirit in him. Also, spoiler alert, he's a genius engineer behind the Vaki. Talvi is a shoot station attendant. He even gets a nice mugshot. And Hafu, wait. That's not Hafu! That's gotta be Akmu posing as him. Some Matoran will even mention a 4-legged creature and a huge being, directly foreshadowing the Dark Hunters that become antagonists of the story later on. It's also a nice touch that the Matoran and Toa are animated. You'll even see the Toa check out their tools if you're patient enough. Midway through the journey, you'll get to see the Toa's full animation, which usually acts as a cutscene. Also, be prepared to go through the same types of puzzles between each Toa's CD. Simon Says, 27 possible combinations, a bunch of sliding tile puzzles, and a correct order puzzle that rescues the Matoran, or in Anua's case, allows him to catch up with the runaway Matoran. Once you rescue the Matoran, they'll give you a helpful tip on the Morbuzak and reveal why they have been missing. And as you go through each CD, you'll see that Akmu is involved in each disappearance. And on Toa Anua's CD, you get to deal with the coward and chase him down. Honestly, these CDs might be the closest thing we get to a Metru Nui online game. Exploring the different Metrus and learning about society, talking to Matoran, and even tying information together between each Toa's CD. This puts more incentive on buying the other sets since each Toa has a fairly unique experience. There is even some payoff if you were wondering who is responsible for intimidating Akmu and trapping the other Matoran. However, there are a few issues with the Toa Metru CDs that hold them back. The narration slows the adventure down since it can't be skipped. The repetition of puzzle types in each adventure can be boring. Matau's is the shortest and weakest since it has the least amount of puzzles and interactions. And if you open the application after beating it, the puzzles won't reset, and you'll need to click your way to the end and click the restart button to start the journey over again. With that being said, these CDs are the only ones that provide this kind of point-and-click adventure experience, and for that, They earn a spot in the Exceeds Expectations tier.
On to 2006, because 2005 unfortunately didn't receive any promo CDs. We have the Toa Inika promo CD. Hopefully my favorite Toa sets can impress.
Uh-oh. That's a pretty lazy intro video. Alright, we got products, movies, downloads, and games. Products shows off the Toa Inika, but the links use the set numbers instead of the proper names. That's going to be confusing for kids. Each Toa has an animated set model on the left side and a details bio, a weapons section which just shows a spinning image, very lazy, a mask section with an image and description, although they put the wrong name on Naparu's mask. It's Kadin, not Aiden. And a description of the Zamo Sphere launcher, which is the same for each Toa. Also, just to be nitpicky, the colors of some of the Zamors are wrong. Not looking good so far. Let's check out movies. We got 3 badass shorts featuring Jala, Holly, and Matoro. They actually used the names this time. However, why did they only do half the team? I would love to see Huki chopping wrecking balls clean in half, or Kongu front flipping over trapdoors, or Naparu jamming a compactor with his drill. Of course, the animations are only 7 seconds long. It's like the Toa Nuva animations, but fewer. Is downloads any better? Well, we got 8 wallpapers with size options. The screensaver is actually kinda sick, if a bit short. Ooh! Desktop icons. That's something new. Wish I could have used these when I was 13. Oh, and email signatures. Pretty clever. I'll give them credit here, since previous CDs would only have wallpaper. Now for game. I think we're onto something. Bionicle Heroes promo material, an accurate description of the game, a fast-paced gameplay trailer that shows off the game pretty well, some okay screenshots, and a download link for the demo. Yeah, this CD could be much better. Aside from the downloads, the content is just lazy. Sorry, but I'll have to put this at bottom of the barrel.
Hopefully 2007 will be an improvement with the Barraki CDs.
Okay, the screen is telling me to hold my breath. Probably because we're technically underwater since this is the pit. The down arrow is taking me further down into the pit. I guess the screen keeps scrolling to the left unless my cursor is on the right. If I click a silhouette in one of the crannies, I get a jump scare of one of the Barraki and some overly edgy punk rock drift. Anyways, on to the actual application. Same options as before. Great. Ooh, at least we have some options, and while they still use the product numbers, the thumbnails in the links make identifying much easier. The set model on the left has a play button which shows a quick animation. Each Barraki has a short bio, weapons details, a quote, and stats. This is when they were first introduced to Bionicle.com. Still, the information is lacking compared to previous CDs. Next up are the Matoran, and their models just spin 360 degrees. They have the same details template, but there is only 2 of them. Same can be said with the Hydruka, except for the quotes. And Warriors is simply just Nocturne with an image instead of a set model and the same details template. The download section has 10 different wallpapers, which includes all Barraki, Matoran, and Hydruka, as well as the song Creeping in My Soul by Cryoshell. Now this isn't the first time music has been included, but still pretty neat. Game this time has a flash game called Creeps from the Deep. It's lame. You just hold down the mouse button and swipe at seaweed as fast as you can. Finally, we can check out the movies section. We've got the Creeps from the Deep movie, which promotes the Barraki, a demonstration of how the squid launcher works, and the Singing Squid short. To be fair, this CD wasn't quite as lazy as the Inika CD. The inclusion of more sets helped, as well as a downloadable song, and a full-length commercial. Unfortunately, it still doesn't measure up to previous CDs, and thus I'll have to put it in the weak tier.
Now the tier list is complete, but I am quite disappointed. Only a few CDs really rose to the top when it came to content and immersion. I made a line chart placing each CD in chronological order and giving them a value from 0 to 4 based on the tier placement. As you can see, 2003 and post 2004 dropped in terms of quality. With the 2003 CDs, there were technical issues that greatly hurt the aging of the applications, whereas with 2006 and 2007, the CDs just came off as lazy and less captivating. With the higher ranked CDs, not only was there plenty of content, but there was a sense of atmosphere that really pulled you into the Bionicle universe, really encouraging the user to check out Bionicle.com and thus producing loyal fans and customers. Too bad there weren't a lot of those CDs that really captured that essence. Regardless, I hope you enjoyed the making of this tier list. If you disagree with any rankings, feel free to post in the comments. I also have a link to the tier list template that I used so you can make your own Bionicle Promo CDs tier list. Bonus points if you can back up your argument and be civil. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you later.